Another layer of drama to the Cam Whitmore situation. Let's talk about it. What's going on, everyone, and welcome into another episode of Wizards Latest. I'm your host, Ben Robertson, and let's talk about the latest Brian Keefe comments relating to Cam Whitmore. We'll quickly discuss AJ Johnson being sent down to the G League. One superstar name in the league that I'm going to caution the Wizards to stay away from, and I'm a little bit confused as to why I'm seeing so much interest in from the fan base. And we'll jump into the comment section from the previous video. As always, make sure you're dropping your thoughts down there. A chance for your voice to be heard here on the show. Do me a favor, hit those like and subscribe buttons as well. Appreciate all the support here on the road to 1K. And again, let's jump into this Cam Whitmore situation. Talked about it a little bit yesterday as well. The big storyline coming out of his weekend, really the Wizards weekend, him not playing in that Atlanta Hawks matchup, a big DNP coach's decision. And I prefaced my comments yesterday by giving out the two thoughts, the two ideas that, remember, Cam Whitmore worked into that, Poole McCollum, eventually became a three-team deal to bring him to the Wizards. Only gave up a couple second rounders for him, pretty much, and not a player drafted by the team. And I think those are all important thoughts to keep in mind as you kind of look at this situation. Remember, immediately after the game, Coach Keefe saying, well, it's because Cam Whitmore wasn't living up to our standards, whatever that may be, wasn't really clear on what those specific standards were, but did say it was an on-the-court thing. Well, now Keefe saying something different this morning here, a Wednesday edition of Wizards Latest, saying on DC Sports Radio, we just wanted to try something new. He didn't do anything wrong himself. But we wanted to get others involved. So, Brian, which one is it? And I really find this a little bit annoying, to be quite honest. I think the team has been fairly transparent this year, just with the fan base, about expectations, really. We understood what this season was going to be. I realize that doesn't, they can't come out and say we're not trying to win games, but I think every single time somebody in the organization, of course, spearheaded here with this charge with the GM, Will Dawkins, every time he was asked about what expectations are, what do you want things to look like, he was very non-committal. And I think, if he was really expecting to compete or trying to get back into contention this season, those answers look very different. They say we're really trying to take a step forward. We're trying to take a jump forward. And you didn't see any of those. A lot of non-committal stuff in terms of expectations. A lot of, it's going to be a year of growing pains and development, things like that. However, this to me, so while in a weird way, I know that doesn't sound like the definition of transparency, it's as transparent as they could have been with the expectations for the year. However, this to me is not transparent. And you've kind of come out after the game and saying that, well, Cam did something. He's not living up to our standards. And now you're backtracking and getting a little bit vague and saying, well, no, we just wanted to try something new, which he did allude to in the press conference. But he also made it clear, well, you made that whole standards comment, and now that's what we have all been talking about for the last couple of days. And to me, this is going to build some annoyance with the fan base. It certainly does for me. We want to know why this talented player that the team hasn't paid a whole bunch for, but is taking a flyer on this year, clearly has a whole bunch of talent, why he's not on the court. It's okay if it's not working out, but I don't think it helps Cam Whitmore either to backtrack on your comments. We're all in agreement. This is a prove-it year for him, and again, you came out and stated he's not doing something. You didn't make it clear what it was, but now you're trying to tell us that's actually not the case. Again, which one is it? I don't like to be the fan, that's going, hey, you need to tell us every single thing. I realize it's more interesting that way, but sometimes I think it is the coach's job to keep certain things in-house. But again, when you're now giving us just there's clearly something going on. So either just leave it at we're keeping it in house, but then don't try to kind of fool us now or kind of play us as a fool now the other way around. We all heard the comment on Saturday. I really don't get this. Doesn't make a whole bunch of sense to me. These comments. Let's talk about AJ Johnson, though, being sent back down to the G League. And this is a thing I'm actually, gonna give myself a little bit credit for here on the page. I kind of told you guys this one going into the year. I just think there's a whole bunch of, or thought there was a whole bunch of faces with AJ. Again, a player not drafted by the Wizards, but traded for. And I just thought there was going to be faces in front of him, and there was an opportunity or a chance that he kind of got lost in the shuffle on the year, and we've very much seen that happen. I mean, only 10 NBA level games played, and he's averaging less than 5 minutes per in those contests. It did appear in the Hawks matchup, again, a garbage minute there, and again, I think just a lot of faces kind of scrapping for time, also around his age in front of him that the team might be more invested in. Kind of why you're seeing him maybe not have that opportunity at the NBA level, but we've seen him play well when he's been sent down to the G League, and an opportunity to do that again. And I think also, if he's not going to play a whole bunch in the NBA, a guy that young, you just want seeing reps and seeing action. So I'm good with that move. Maybe the worst thing for AJ Johnson is now the emergence, again, at the NBA level, of a Will Riley. To me, that seems like it just throws another face into that mix that's now in front of AJ. That's a drafted player that the team might be more invested in. Let's talk a little bit. Let's jump into a little bit of trade talk here. And frankly, I want to discuss a player that I'm kind of confused as to why I'm seeing a decent bit of interest in from the fan base and from Wizards media. And look, I'm all for the idea or interested in ideas of bringing in a piece either near the deadline or next offseason that's really going to help catapult the team forward, or even be a key piece of the future. The latest name to swirl here in kind of those ideas for the Wizards is a Zion Williamson. And with that first point being said, I'm going to have to give a big no to a Zion. If you're bringing in a $40 million a year player, he better be on the court. And I said AJ Johnson has only played 10 games on the year. Zion's only played 10 himself, and it hasn't just been because he's been benched. It's because he's not healthy, and he's never healthy. He played 70 games there, and I'm looking at the season numbers for him. In year 4, he played a 70-game total, played 61 in year 2. He hasn't even gotten close to those numbers any of the other years he's been in the NBA. He's productive when he plays, and I agree. He's clearly a pretty good player when he is, maybe an elite player, maybe even a superstar level player when he is on the court, but he's never on the court. And we kind of did this whole thing with LaMelo, and I think Zion's a more winning player, a player that's more just contributes to winning maybe more than LaMelo does. But again, with LaMelo Ball, never on the court. And if you're going to pay that much, and essentially, one of the reasons that I've seen the interest maybe in Zion from the fan base is the idea, what the idea is based on, is that New Orleans wants to move on from Zion. They're done with him, but they also want to keep their other pieces, Jeremiah Fears, a Derek Queen, their draft picks this year, and then Trey Murphy, who's emerging as well. And Washington could send Middleton, of course, on his expiring deal, and other picks. And then the idea is that New Orleans could get better offers, but a trade with the Wizards would maybe allow them to keep those young pieces and young players. Frankly, in those names, I think I'm more interested in a Trey Murphy. I just, again, sending away, again, kind of ruining your cap flexibility moving forward, which is what you would do by, again, the reason Middleton is here is because his contract does expire. And you would ruin that by sending Middleton away for a guy that we just can't count on to even play. I just think is a little bit wild. And again, I've seen a lot of people really interested in this, and I'm not quite sure I understand why. Now, let's jump into the comment section from the previous video real briefly here. Remember, we were discussing kind of the front line of that Cam Whitmore drama yesterday, the first reaction to his benching. Before this follow-up from Brian Keefe on sports radio in DC, and really just diving into his post-game presser comments. Trigger Films says, I do hope Cam can make it work. He undoubtedly has the talent, and I think setting a culture and not letting him slide is a good sign. Just got to hope he can buy in. I agree. I'm with you setting that culture post game. And if it is a standard thing that he's not living up to, fine. I'm good with you coming out and saying that. But then again, why the backtrack here during the week? Who does that help? I don't think it helps Cam Whitmore. And again, I think it just kind of bothers all of us in the fan base because if you're going to be a 3-win team on the court this far into the year, the least you could do is give us a little bit of transparency in terms of these press conferences and what's going on. Mo Froman says, I'm sure I'm butchering that, but he says it takes a special time player to get benched like this on a 3-win team. I really want it to work out because he's probably our most athletic and exciting player, but not worth it at the detriment of the long term here. Here in DC, I'm guessing you mean there. And I'm with you. Again, Cam has to prove that he can make it work here with the Wizards. And if he doesn't, with this team, again, with a 3-win organization that's not really trying to win games here this season, you start to question what the future holds for a Cam Whitmore. Last comment, I think we're going to jump in here too here today. LiveRide59, a consistent commenter, echoing those sentiments as well. Cam has his best chance right now. Next year, though, we want winners on the team. Sar, Keyshawn, Will Riley, Champagny, you're in or you're out. And he also says, prove yourself or don't let the door hit you on the way out. OMG, a bub sighting, glad to see it. And we're looking at those prospects at next year's draft class. Is there a player in that comment section, Live Ride 59, one of my favorite commenters and consistently down there, so got to give another shout out to you. But is there one of those guys at the top of next year's draft class that you're specifically interested in? I have a lot of excitement really with all of them. The injury stuff already starting to mount with a Peterson starts to maybe concern me, although I really do. I mean, him and Trey Johnson, again, who's part of this is why maybe I'm projecting my Trey stuff onto Darren Peterson. But now a little bit frustrated that injuries are starting to slow him down already in the career. That seems like maybe a injury prone backcourt in the future. However, it also seems like a backcourt that could be really, really productive when they are together and can kind of fit together super well, because I think Trey needs kind of a playmaker to go along with his, spot up shooting ability. Devonta and Boozer, again, are hard to not look at with what they're able to do. Boozer, I really can see sliding in. I mean, with kind of the current lineup and roster, a rotation that you're playing, I could see sliding in as a like a 4 next to Alex Sarr, and then the Devonta, just everything he brings to the table makes you really, really excited about what he could possibly do. The big worry next year with that draft class, right, is that, and I know Mikael Brown there up at the top of the class as well, but really it's those top 3 that I listed off, I feel like, that are really kind of the shiny toys. And what scares you, and I hate to even think like this, but we go through this whole year, and obviously the big hope, and I don't, I want to say I don't think this could happen, but I have no way. Again, it's a lottery for a reason, and you miss out kind of on the sweepstakes once again. Now, and this will be my last point here of the day. With that being said, the people that are saying, well, you could lose the lottery anyway, so it's not worth it to try to hang out, at the bottom of the league. Well, the best way to land superstar talent is being at the top of the draft class. So I don't think it's worthless what the Wizards are doing here this year. We'll keep you posted on everything Wizards related right here on the page. Do me a favor, hit those like and subscribe buttons if you've gotten this far and haven't done so already. Drop your comments as well, a chance for your voice to be heard here on the show. Appreciate all the support here on the page. Do me a favor, you can hit me over on Twitter at Ben Robertson32 as well. Try to be active there, especially on game nights. And thanks for watching another episode of Wizards Latest.